Let's welcome Mr. Ashworth Jack. You see how difficult this job is? I have to keep talking until they're ready. Yeah, I don't get criticized with it. But anyway, good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning, Brother B. Good morning to the viewing and listening public of
Very good.
Channel 5.
All right.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Very good. So you are the swearing in of the ministers, the new government, obviously. You've been there before. And I say that given 2010. Some people are saying it's 2010 all over again. But new people, obviously, the Prime Minister has been there and is still there. Just an overview as to what took place on Saturday.
Well, of course, Friday and Thursday and Saturday, there were the two swearings there. Thursday, the swearing of the Prime Minister. Mrs. Kamala Prasad, successor for a second time as Prime Minister. Mm-hmm. Of course, we all remember the People's Partnership Government of 2010 to 2015. Mm-hmm. And the new administration that have officially been put in place as of Saturday. Let me back that up because that is not correct. It's as of Tuesday because a cabinet consists of the Attorney General and the Prime Minister.
Yes.
So once a Thursday afternoon at about 5 o'clock, the Prime Minister and the Attorney General took their oath of office. It means that they had a new government. So the new government, but following the Constitution, the Prime Minister could have either kept all the portfolios or appoint people to carry out the responsibilities. And of course, any smart Prime Minister would know that they can't do all that work alone. So the Prime Minister would have put her cabinet in place along with other junior ministers and parliamentary secretaries. So just is for edification, especially for our younger people. So that is what they call the executive, not necessarily just the cabinet, because I see everybody talking about the cabinet is in place. It is more than the cabinet, it's the executive of the administration that is in place, because the cabinet is just about ministers. And in this case, they are ministers, they are parliamentary secretaries, they are junior ministers that might not have a cabinet posting.
Very good.
So that is how the government...
Very good. There are those people who call me and say, Brother B, how come they put the two Tobago MPs in any position? And I responded, I want you to put it correctly, that they did not contest the election on a UNC ticket.
No,
it was independent or separate.
Not only that.
But speak to us on
Not only that. You see, sometimes you listen to people,
yeah.
and some of the people who call you really trying to trap you. I'm going to tell you why they're trying to trap you. I'm quite sure the PNM's the biggest campaign slogan throughout this entire election in Tobago is a vote for the UNC, is a vote for the TPP. And they were sitting with bated breath, waiting to see if they will have cabinet. So say, I'll tell you so. Because they wanted that to be their campaign for the THA election later in the year, early next year. But the chief secretary and the party have said from day one that we want to be a voice of reason. We want to be able to say, to work on either side of the aisle once it is in the best interest of Tobago and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. And I think it called for a lot of maturity to be able to stick to that because, for example, Joel or Member of Parliament Samson will actually be losing money as a result of becoming an MP without portfolio because he's a sitting secretary.
But he's resigned as a citizen.
No, you have to. The law says, what that I'm saying, he will be losing money as a result of having to resign as a secretary or a member of the Tobago House of Assembly.
So the package for MP is smaller than the THA?
Than secretaries, yeah, by about $20,000.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, in the new iteration with the new salary increases, it's a lot smaller.
Wow!
A whole lot smaller.
Oh my goodness!
So Joel is making a major sacrifice for Tobago.
Both of just Joel because
Mr. Thomas was already retired and he will continue to enjoy his pension and stuff like that. But MP Samson, and that speaks to commitment. Okay. To me, that speaks to commitment.
All right.
And I want to publicly commend Joel for being able to make that kind of sacrifice in the interests of the people of Tobago.
Very good. All right. So, that is news to me. I'm now learning that. And, all right. But
it is a major sacrifice.
A major sacrifice. All right. Let's come now to the relationship that is required for us to benefit from the relationship with the THE and central government. Notice how I put that, eh? And I deliberately put it that way because they are supposed to meet on a regular basis, right? They have established that there is conversation already as to what, Mr. Jack, the major issue for Tobagonians, what we are all looking out for, is the right for self-determination.
Okay, let me start.
Let
me go from the beginning.
Well, let's go from there.
You asked me about relationships. Relationships is built on respect. If there's no respect, there can be no healthy relationship.
No, repeat that. It's important.
Relationship is built on respect.
Go ahead.
If there is no respect, there can be no healthy relationship.
All right.
Right. That being said, if you looked at the way the Prime Minister treated the Chief Secretary in the swearing of the Prime Minister and the swearing of the Chief Secretary, it is totally different to how the Chief Secretary has been treated for the office of Chief Secretary. Not necessarily the individual, because I like to get away from the individual. Because once the protocol is established for the office, that is the way everyone should be treated. Right? Even if you listen to the salutation and the office and the table of precedence, you realize that the Chief Secretary was treated with the greatest respect in that he was 5th or 6th on the order of precedent. Let's go back a bit and look at the opening of the airport and see the order of precedent, one, and the fact that a major project was done in Tobago and the Chief Secretary was not even invited to bring not even remarks. And so the relationship, as I said, is based on respect. And once there's respect, everything else can be worked out. And from what I've noticed, but I want to be very careful here this morning. I want to be very careful. I want to make it absolutely clear that I do not speak for the Chief Secretary. I do not speak for the Tobago House of Assembly. I am not an executive member of the Tobago House of Assembly, and therefore I do not speak for them. I'm speaking from a position of my own relationship and my own knowledge. So I want to make that clear.
All right,
so
we're clear on that.
Anybody to misunderstand.
I will ask you one more that we get to. All right, so we anticipate that the conversation about the self-determination issue would should be first on the.
Well, it should be high. It should be high. I mean, as Tobagonians, we will expect our thing to be first.
Right. Well,
but remember, there are also a lot of economic issues and stuff that will affect both islands. That will be a major focus of the government also. But one would expect, with astute negotiations and discussions, that there are going to be some fruits that Tobago will bear in the very early stages. I was sitting on the airport yesterday and I was saying to myself, I'll call the chief so I can see if I could get him and ask him, discuss the issue of this airline thing, the opening hours of the airport, that the issue of the COVID was used to shut down the hours and, of course, never reopened. And when you take into consideration that we have built a new airport, it's taxpayers' money. So we have built a new airport and a new terminal.
Okay.
It had to be properly utilized. And if your numbers, even between the island, who is your highest tourist, because local tourists is tourists too. And if that number is affected by airlift, then it doesn't make any sense. The $1.4 billion airport would not make any sense.
Mr. Jack, we'll come to all of those, but I just want to get to the gravy of the conversation leading into SPEL. You led historically the first, you were part of the what accord, Faisabad Accord, and the government. And then everybody anticipated the two Tobago seats, obviously, was a partnership, and it's different to this one.
Yeah, it is different. Yeah.
And we anticipated that Tobago would have gotten its self-governance. We did not get it during your time.
We need one vote.
We needed one. All right.
Yeah.
So we didn't get it. What guarantees that we'll get it this time? Given that
there is no guarantee, you know.
There's no guarantee?
Let me explain that. Let me explain that. Because I don't want people to misunderstand what I just said. Right? Because you know, media is about song bites. There's no guarantee of anything except there's collaboration. And let me explain that again. I do not have any doubt whatsoever that the government is willing to give Tobago its internal self-government. The government.
But is willing?
It is willing.
Right. This new administration.
This new administration. Right. I don't know if you remember
and they can because they have the majority.
No, I hear people say that. That's not necessary. So I think there's a 31 seat. That is why we didn't get it in 2012. Right? I think it's 31 seats that gives you the majority you want to change the constitution. But there are a number of changes that can and should take place to Act Number 40, even if that is not done. And I don't normally comment on Facebook. I'm not a Facebook person. I tell people things like those, I'm a professional spectator. I look at them,
exactly.
I smile, because a lot of people who comment on these things are emotional. They don't deal with information, they deal with emotion. So once you have a view that is opposed to them, there's some personal attacks and things, and I had too old for that. But I saw one very good PNM supporter and I know him very well. So and so I said, he said, there were 31 votes. So let me see how they're going to get it. And so I wrote a simple statement. I said, is it that you're saying that the PNM had no intention of supporting internal self-government? Because you can't go into a situation like that without seeing what the bill look like. But I want to remind Tobagonians that in the last bill that was before the House, the reason why the UNC, then opposition, did not support is that they were saying that the bill was inadequate and they needed to do more, because that bill took away the 6 miles that is now under the THA, gave them none. And I know that was because of the oil and gas. If you wanted to do, even once you come off the beach, Tobago had lost that ability. So I didn't know sure if they could have got lifeguards. So there were a number of things that this bill, Tobagonians should not settle, regardless of who is in government. Tobagonians should not settle for less than constitutional reform that gives you reform to some major parts of the Constitution. We have seen a taking back of a number of the responsibilities, and unfortunately, I heard the then Minister of Sports, the then representative for Tobago West, said that Nutsi was bold to say that she shouldn't be doing some of the things in Tobago. And I'm saying, as a representative, it's fine to do, but as a minister, sports fell under the 5th schedule of the Tobago House of Assembly. And as much as people will want to be excited and exuberant and you want to add to your ability to win a seat, you have to look at the bigger picture. Because my question remains now that you have a different administration. If that administration does the same thing that you did, what would you do? Secondly, I remember the PNM saying back then in 2012, the thing was, let me define Tobago, let me define Trinidad. All of a sudden, the same people wanting to define Tobago and define Trinidad were saying, it's not necessary. And they were willing to vote for a bill that not only did not define Tobago, but took back the 6 miles that Tobago had responsibility for. And so we have to make up our minds if we want to blow hot or cold. And the issue here now remains that Tobago must see autonomy as its highest priority. Our representative must see it as the highest priority. And as a result of that, we hope to be able to go back out, educate people, rally Tobago around it, because we must not be subject to the emotional vagaries of any administration coming. If I like you, I give you. If I don't like you, I don't give you. One of the things that I think that I would like to recommend that is looked at very early o'clock is the DRC's recommendation of the 4.03.
Because we come to that. All right, Mr. Jack, right. So we anticipate that we will get our issue of self-governance. Obviously, we work that out. All right. Let's come now to SPEL. The Prime Minister did say Tobago have a number of resources.
Yeah.
And let's go to one of the key resource that is lying there, dormant, that really you came here and you said Guyana was our first market of export. However, we just could not get the export license. Yeah. Let's speak to that, given that it's $1 million, it can earn millions. Let's speak to the approach to getting the license. Obviously, the Minister of Energy would be responsible. That was Mutilal Muninat. Speak to us.
Really, yeah.
Whose responsibility it is, and how can we approach them to get the license?
The approach is going to be made. I can guarantee you the approach is going to be made, or further approaches are going to be made. And I feel very confident that all things being equal, SPEL will have a license. SPEL will have a license.
All right.
And
And what are we waiving
the
fees
Prime
for?
Minister did speak about the other stream, revenue stream.
No, let me stay there a little bit because I want to get the. All right. So we
we still on SPEL now. You're asking someone with SPEL.
All right. The blasting license.
The blasting license never really a big issue. No?
Okay.
The blasting, we have provisional blasting and mining license because there's an issue of a quarry in Trinidad that is before the Privy Council. So the previous government had to hold up on the issue of permanent blasting license because of that matter that's before the Privy Council. Right. So there have always been temporary license that lasts you for your year. Once you apply in time, you get it, that kind of stuff. You know, it might be a little tardy sometimes. But it have never, in all fairness, I cannot sit here and say that we have ever been denied a mining license or denied a blasting license. It might come a little later and we would like to and stuff like that. But it was always forthcoming, as I said, except for that issue that is before the Privy Council that prevents us from getting
all right. So let's say all of the protocols are out the way. We pay our annual fees for
yeah, that's another thing. We want to be approaching Dave Tanku, Minister of Finance, for a number of stuff. Those fees really shouldn't be paid in Trinidad.
Okay. Where is it supposed to be paid?
The law says every business operating in Tobago must pay their fees in Tobago.
Okay.
That's what the law says.
So you intend to
Act number 40 of 1996 is clear. There are a number of organizations in Toronto that have in breach. And that is because there are a number of the legislation that have not gone and amended to take away the power from them. And so they continue to enjoy that power. But the law is clear. The banks, everybody really should be paying the taxes in Tobago.
So just identify it. The term isn't coming. It's royalties.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that you're talking about.
Right. So that you're asking to have it waived or?
No, paid in Tobago.
Paid in Tobago.
Paid in Tobago.
And that is paid annually?
It's calculated like every 6 months or so.
Oh boy, that's very costly. Yeah. Anyhow.
So yeah, it is. And that is why the importance of our export license is so high on our agenda. Because once that is done, then the country benefits from the taxes and royalties. And then SPEL benefits, and then by extension, Tobago benefits. Because we'll be able to employ more people. We'll be able to do more production because we're going to go downstream. I don't want to spill that part of it, but we're pretty advanced with those.
So
we need new equipment. To get new equipment, because one of our plants is almost 40 years old. Okay. To get new equipment, it means that you have to show that you can pay for it. And so once we have the license, and then right now, St. Vincent going to another major project, so we will be busy.
All right. So, Mr. Jack, you anticipate that the quarry will yield the benefits and the profits going forward with this new administration. And I'll
be very disappointed if it didn't.
Right. Exactly. All right. So all the necessary tools, you said equipment. What is it that is required right now for it to be to optimal production?
New plants.
New plants?
Yeah, new crushing plants.
And that is very expensive?
Oh, yeah.
What is it really?
Crushing plants are going to... 2 new crushing plants and a couple of other pieces of equipment that we need are going to cost us in the vicinity of $60 million. In an industry that is not much money.
And where do you import these equipment?
They are available in a number of places in the world. And then they are available in China, they are available in Germany, they are available in the United States, they are available in France. Those are the 4 places that we are looking at right now.
There was a gentleman here not so long ago who spoke about maintenance, and it's preventative maintenance.
No,
are you equipped with the personnel?
Yeah,
that to ensure
we will continue. Once you continue to grow, you will have to continue to put addition. But I cannot fault a number of our staff in SPEL for their dedication and for their expertise. There are a couple of guys. There's one guy. He's a genius with any piece of equipment. Right? We have been reorganizing in terms of how we do preventative maintenance, so that is a lot better than it was, and it will only get better. But when you have new equipment, there are some other things that we can do also, and we can also ensure the equipment for at least 3 or 4 years with the company that allows them to take charge of all the repairs and the parts that will go wrong in that period. So it allows our craftsmen and our artisans and stuff to be able to work along with them. So it becomes very to become experts in the area. But we have been in this thing for a long time, and we have been doing pretty good.
Very good. All right. So the next time you come back here is to speak about the profits that you've been earning.
No, you assume that the world going to stop for the next couple of months.
Mr. Jack,
I would agree that at some point, and I would hope in the near future, that that will be our conversation.
Of course.
Right? But I don't know if you're planning to ban me from Channel 5.
No, man. No. All right. So, Mr. Jack, I see greater days ahead, given what I saw at the sewing in and so on, and the relationship there.
I think that also, I just want to mention this. I think in the Prime Minister making such a carte blanche statement also, to me, makes me a little excited about the natural gas.
I was coming to that. So let's touch on that because we got to go. Okay. So the possibility of exploring Tobago's natural gas, which was spoken to by the Prime Minister, the Minister of Energy, Mr. Mutilal, do have. How do we go about exploring?
And Dr. Munina and they would have known that it's something that have been discussed. I've ever come into this station on a number of occasions. And one of the things that people, in this case, in this particular case, that Brother B will ask me all the time, almost every time, what's your relationship with the people down the road? And that time, it was not fashionable. And I would say, I don't choose my friends based on, they're my friends. They are people, the Prime Minister and I are very good. I think everybody in the world knows that we're good. I had Rudy and Dr. Munina and a couple of the other guys. And that was manifested even at the fact that I was invited to the stuff. And when you saw the relationship, they run, they hug up. We continue to be friends. But what have happened is that it is not that this administration will be the first one to explore the natural gas. Remember, Tobago is producing natural gas as we speak. I want to reiterate that. As we speak at this very minute, Tobago is producing 200,000 cubic meters of natural gas per day. Of course, there is the infrastructure work that must be put in place for Block 22 to become operational. And the estimated yield of Block 22 is in the vicinity of 3.4 trillion cubic meters of gas.
Okay.
And then the last set of bid that have been out about a month and a half ago, there were 26 blocks up for bid in Trinidad and Tobago. And 19 out of the 26 is in Tobago. So it's a matter of monetizing. Get those bids. Some people bid on them, take it all. But I would want to think, and I would want to think that one of the discussions should be once the blocks are being rented, that Tobago must be kept abreast and to benefit from it. And there are normally there are a number of scholarships that goes with things like that, and Tobago should be able to benefit from that, to send some of our sons and daughters of the soil to do marine and petroleum engineering. So that I'm sure will form part of the discussion. Again, I am saying what my own position is, and as I said, wherever my expertise, if you want to call it that, is required, I am more than willing to speak to the Chief
Mr. Jack, we have to continue our conversation, but it wouldn't be today. We'll have to get you back to deal with our whole question of exploring what our natural gas is on the water. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, and we look forward to report that when you come back, how many millions we are earning with the aggregate. So see you the next time around.